God created, sin separated, God promised hope. Noah built the ark, and the rain came down. Abraham is promised, Isaac is saved. Jacob wrestles with God, 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph gets his coat of many colours. He goes to Egypt, feeds the people, forgives his family. Moses and the burning bush. Let my people go. He parts the Red Sea. The 10 Commandments. Jesus is born. He casts out sickness. Jesus is crucified. Jesus is alive. Jesus appears, giving hope.
Listening prayer, journaling, sharing and praying together. Before starting, explain to the children that we can actively have a relationship with Jesus through prayer and listening to the Holy Spirit speaking into our lives. Give each child paper and pencils and crayons. Begin by praying and asking God to speak to each person individually. Then give the children about 10 minutes to express how God is speaking to them through drawing, writing a poem, or song. It is helpful to softly play instrumental music during this time. Encourage the children to think, pray, and journal about what the story teaches about God, about themselves, about others, and what the story instructs them to do. Next, give each child the opportunity to share what they have written. After each child shares, the child on each side of them places a hand on their shoulder and prays for that child and what they have shared. Let's get moving. This activity is a fun way to memorize scripture. Before beginning, explain to the children that our bodies will reflect how we are speaking. When we are standing still, we say the verse at normal pace. When we jog in place, we will say the verse quickly. When we walk very slowly in place, each word of the verse will be said very slowly. And when we tiptoe, we will say the verse quietly. Start by saying the verse a few times normally. Then give the command to change the tempo. Continue until you believe most of the group has learned the verse. Then recite it normally one final time. Echo to know. Before playing, separate the children into 2 groups. Each group stands on the opposite side of the room. Give each group half of the memory verse. The group with the first half shouts out their part of the verse across the room to the other group. The other group shouts out their portion of the verse back to the other side. Continue until the verse is clearly shared a few times back and forth. Then switch the portions of the verse to the other team and start again. Memory motions. Before playing, tell the memory verse to the group. As a group, designate motions to describe each word of the verse or phrases of that verse. Then recite the verse with the motions until it has been memorized. To the end. This game is a variation to the song B-I-N-G-O or bingo. Begin reciting the entire verse aloud. After a few times, purposefully stop short of completing it. Have the children complete the rest of the verse after you stop. Repeat the process over and over, leaving more of the verse for the children to complete each time. By the end, the children should be able to recite the entire verse with only the initial word as a prompt. Now you see it, now you don't. Before the game, write the verse on a large piece of paper. Then cover the verse with a second piece of paper. Do not allow the children to see the verse before the game. On the first round, reveal the verse to the children for 15 seconds. Cover the verse up again and then see if any child can repeat the verse. Increase the exposure time on future rounds until the children have learned the verse. Fill in the blanks. This game is also referred to as Say What? Start by reading the complete verse written on the board. Slowly remove words, having the children fill in the blanks from memory. Continue this process until the entire verse can be said without any words remaining. "17 Stories Puzzle Relay." Before playing, separate the children into teams of 16 or 20. Each team stands in a single file line. Designate an organization area for each team about 15 meters from where they start. Distribute one card to each child in the team until the whole set is given out. Do this with each team. The relay begins with the first child in each line running and placing their card in the organization area. The next child cannot run until the first returns. Each child does the same until all the cards are in the organization area. The next child attempts to arrange the cards in order. If it is incorrect, that child must run back to their team before the next child can run to the organization area and attempt to correct the card order. The first team to arrange their cards correctly and have all their players return to the starting side wins. Charades. Choose one child to begin. Secretly tell the child a clue to act out. Clues can include characters or events from the story. The child acts out the clue without making any sounds. The other children try to guess what the child is acting out. The first child to guess the clue correctly can be the next actor. Talk show review. This game is also referred to as interview. Take a seat at the front of the room. Inform the children that you will now be pretending to be a character from the story. Have the children raise their hands and ask you questions about the story. Your answers should come from the perspective of that particular character. This activity not only helps children recall specifics about the lesson and the Bible story, but it also helps make the people from the story become much more relatable. Quiz to win. Separate the class into teams. Ask specific questions about the lesson. The team that answers the most questions correctly wins. Consider asking extra questions that are worth double the amount of points to increase the fun. In the event of a tie, be sure to have a tiebreaker question ready to use at the end of the game. Telephone or Chinese whisper. Smaller groups of about 10 children work best. Whisper a short phrase to one child only once. That child tries to whisper the same message to the child sitting next to them, but they only have one chance to pass it along. Each child passes the message off to the next child. The last child to hear the messages stands up to tell the group what they have heard. Then have the first child share the original message. Compare how different the messages ended up being. Walk of Faith. Before playing, designate an S-shaped path for each group to follow. Divide children evenly into groups. The first child in each line is blindfolded or closes their eyes. The other children verbally direct the blinded child through the course and back. Once the first child finishes the course, the next child in line may try. Repeat until all the children in the group have successfully finished the course. Sharks and Fish. This game is sometimes referred to as Sharks and Minnows or Sharks and Sardines. Separate the children into two groups standing in lines approximately 25 meters apart facing each other. They are the fish. The leader stands in the middle or in the ocean as the shark. The fish try to run across the ocean to the other side without getting tagged by the shark. When the shark tags a fish, that child also becomes a shark. The game continues until only one fish is left, who is the winner and becomes the first shark in the next game. David, David, Goliath, or Queen, Queen, Esther. This game is often referred to as Duck, Duck, Goose. All the children sit in a circle. Choose one child to start the game. This child is the patter. The patter walks around the circle, patting each child, saying, David. At any time, the patter can choose a person to chase him or her by patting them and calling out the name Goliath. Goliath then chases the patter around the circle, trying to tag them. The patter must sit in Goliath's place before Goliath tags him or her. If the patter is tagged, they are out. If the patter sits in Goliath's place before being tagged, Goliath becomes the patter and the game is repeated. I see or I spy. Choose someone to be the seer. The seer looks around and mentally chooses an object in the room within their sight. The seer does not reveal the object but begins to tell the group clues about it, such as, I see something red, or I see something round. The other children raise their hand when they think they can identify it. Children guess what the object is until somebody answers correctly. The child with the correct answer becomes the next seer. Angel says, or do this, do that. This game sometimes is referred to as Simon Says, Teacher Says, or Captain Commands. The leader is the angel and gives a command by saying, Angel says, you can fill in the blank. For example, Angel says, touch your toes. The children do what the angel says. If the leader does not say Angel says, the children should not do it. For example, touch your ears. If a child follows the command that does not start with Angel says, the child is out. The last child still playing is the winner. Follow me. Choose one child to be the guesser and another to be the leader. The guesser leaves the room or closes their eyes as the teacher chooses a child to be the leader. While the guesser is out of the room or closing their eyes, the leader chooses an action and the rest of the group must follow him. Whenever he starts doing a new action, everyone must follow. While the group is doing motions, have the guesser come in and figure out who is leading the group. For a large group, break into two sections with half the group turning to face the back of the room. Each group plays the game in their own section. Partner stand-up. Each child needs a partner. Have children stand back to back and link arms while standing. The goal is to sit down and then stand back up again while their arms remain linked with their partner's arms. The first partnership to stand back up wins. Human knot. Small groups of 5 or 10 are best for this game. Everyone in the group starts by standing in a circle. Each child reaches out and holds the hand of 2 other players, creating a knot of arms. They cannot hold the hand of the person next to them. The children untangle the knot they've created without letting go of anyone's hands. They may need to climb over or crawl under arms as the entire team works together to finally untangle themselves. Quick grab. This game is sometimes referred to as Steal the Bacon. Separate children into 2 even teams. Each team stands in a line facing the other team, about 15 meters apart. Give each child on the team a number starting at 1 and counting in consecutive order through each team. Children must remember their number. Then place an object on the ground between the 2 teams. The leader calls out a combination of numbers. The children from each team who have those numbers run to the middle to grab the object. The first child to grab the object must run back to their team before getting tagged by the opposing child. If they make it back without being tagged, their team scores 1 point. The leader can call out 1 number at a time or multiple numbers to get more children involved. Stop ball. A softball is needed for this game. Before the game begins, assign a number to each child and designate boundaries for the playing area. Then choose one child to start as the thrower. The game starts when the thrower throws the ball in the air and yells, "Ball in the air, number," for example, "Ball in the air, number 17. They call the number of another child and then they run away. The child assigned that number grabs the ball and yells, "Stop!" All children stop, and the new thrower can take 3 steps towards another child to try to hit them with the ball. If the thrower hits him or her, that child receives the letter B. If the thrower misses him or her, the thrower receives the letter B. The child that is hit becomes the new thrower. If the thrower misses, they remain the thrower. When a child gets all 4 letters in the word ball, B-A-L-L, they are out. Move if. Select a teacher or child to give the action commands. Tell the children to move blank if blank. For example, move right 2 hops if you are wearing green. Or move back 1 step if your birthday is in this month. Soon the children will be standing far away from where they started. When you shout, "Return," everyone races back to their original spot. Relay races consist of each member of a team completing a set course before the next member of the team can begin. The race is completed when each member of the team has run the course. Before playing, designate a course to run and divide children evenly into teams. Relay races can be done in a variety of ways. Good news race, sometimes referred to as the baton race. Each member of the team carries an object through the course, then passes it off to the next teammate who also runs the item through the course. In the wheelbarrow or the 4-legged relay, within each team, children find a partner. One child walks on his or her hands while the other holds the child's feet. They work together to get through the course. When the first pair returns to their team, the next pair can then begin. In the sofa or superpower relay, children work in groups of 3 within each team. 2 children hold each other's elbows to form a seat. The third child sits on that seat and is carried through the course. When the first group returns to their team, the next group can then begin. In the cross or the piggyback relay, within each team, children find a partner. One child carries another on his or her back through the course. When the first pair returns to their team, the next pair can then begin. Rainmaker. Divide children into 3 or 4 groups. Place group 1 to your far left, group 2 in the left middle area, group 3 in the right middle area, and group 4 to your far right. In the beginning, the children must be absolutely quiet and watch as you give directions. Point to the left side and have them quietly rub their hands together back and forth. Then bring in the next group and the next until they are all participating. After the last group joins in, go back to the first group and have them snap their fingers. Then the next group, and so on and so on. Following the same pattern, have them pat their hands on their legs, then stomp their feet. You can also do this process in reverse. Back to patting legs and then back to snapping, back to rubbing hands, then back to silence. Through the process, it will sound like the growing fall of rain. Freeze tag. Before the game begins, designate boundaries for the playing area. Choose one child to be the chaser. When the chaser tags the children, they are frozen in place. They cannot move. The frozen children can move again once another child tags them. Play continues until all players are frozen. The last person to be frozen is the chaser for the next game. Red light, green light, or stop and go. Before playing, designate a starting line and a finish line about 25 meters apart. Choose one child to start the game as the stoplight. The stoplight's back is turned to the other children. All other children stand at the starting line facing the stoplight. The stoplight tells the children to run by saying green light or by holding up an item, and stop by saying red light or putting down the item. The stoplight begins the game by saying green light. The other children begin to run to the finish line. After a few seconds, the stoplight can say red light and turn around to check that the children freeze in their place. If any of the children are caught moving, they are out. The stoplight turns back around and play continues. The first child to cross the finish line wins and becomes the new stoplight. Rock, paper, scissors. Before the game begins, explain that a closed fist means rock, an open hand palm down means paper, and 2 fingers stretched out sideways means scissors. Divide the children into pairs. The game begins by both children pounding their fists 3 times and saying rock, paper, scissors. The 4th time they make and call out one of the symbols. Rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper, and paper beats rock.
Heads up, 7 up. Choose 7 children to stand in front of the group. The group bows their heads and closes their eyes, with one hand sticking a thumb up. The 7 go around the room and each pushes one person's thumb down. Then the 7 return to the front of the room. When all 7 have returned, they say, heads up, 7 up. Each child who has his thumb down gets one chance to guess which of the 7 touched him. If the child guesses correctly, then they trade places. If the child does not guess correctly, then the person who touched them gets to play again. For a large group, break into 2 sections with half the group turning to face the back of the room. Each group plays the game in their own section.
Red Rover. Separate the children into 2 groups approximately 15 meters apart. Each group forms a line by holding hands. Choose a child to start. That child yells out, Red Rover, send a child's name from the other group over. For example, Red Rover, send David over. The child named must run to the opposing line and try to break the chain of hands. If that child gets through, he or she takes the child who called their name back with them to join their group. If the child cannot break through the chain of hands, he or she joins that group. Play resumes with another name being called out. Toss the bread. This game is also referred to as hot potato. Pass an object around from child to child. When the leader says stop, or the time or the music runs out, the person left holding the object is out. Hide and seek. Before playing, designate an area as the safe zone. One child is chosen to be the seeker and begins counting to 10 out loud. While the seeker counts, the other children hide. When the seeker finishes counting to 10, he or she begins looking for the other children that are hiding. The other children try to reach the safe zone before being tagged. The first child to be tagged without reaching the safe zone becomes the new seeker.